Hashim, good to have you. All right, so you can see that you see the agenda. Let me talk about this briefly. My battery on my phone is dying. The battery on my laptop is dying. The key here is to strive for mastery. And on a day when I'm really struggling, that kind of seems like a joke. Okay, but this part of the how is going to be, I'm going to show you how to do something today, and I'm going to tell you why it's important, and we're only going to stick to that just one thing, all right? All right, so I want you to be encouraging to each other, and you've been very encouraging to me, so I appreciate that greatly. I thank you for that, and we're going to make this fun. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown of something that I think was important here from last week's webinar. I showed you a video in last week's webinar. We talked about the guy who did the dad memes and created a t-shirt company out of dad memes, and that was a great video, and I really enjoyed that. I really had a lot of fun with that video, watching that guy and watching the way that video was created, which got me to thinking about using Youzign with video. Now, Gene does that a lot. Gene's really become a master of being able to use Youzign as something inside of the video. So I want to talk about that today briefly. That's where we're going to focus our attention. And I'm going to show you a couple little tricks that can be helpful to you. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change my screen here, and I'm going to open up the Youzign canvas, and we're going to start there. So give me a chance to change my screen, do the Youzign window, and then I'm going to talk about video for just a little bit, okay? All right, tell me if you can see my screen now. All right, good. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. I'm actually, hang on just a second. I need to do this just a little bit different than this. So, a second to make this better. Instead of bouncing back and forth and taking the time to do that, I'm going to share my whole screen, which is always a little awkward because that means that everybody gets a chance to see the chat box, which I prefer not to do. All right, tell me if you can see the screen now. All right, we're going to open up a design here, and I'm going to create a new design, and we're going to use a video design, okay? So this is just going to be a standard video size. And I want to show you a couple of things you can do that can and why Youzign becomes a powerful tool in this, okay? Something I want you to pay careful attention to. We're going to go over to the graphics area here and take a look at the vectors. It's always a good idea to scroll through these every once in a while because there's been some new vectors that have been added. Have any of you noticed the new vectors that have been added? Any of you scrolled through the vector images lately? Because there's been some new vector images that have been added, and always a good idea to do that. Make sure that you're using the most that you see the current ones. And I don't have a list today, but there have been some vectors added. I was planning on doing that in the agenda and wasn't able to get to the agenda at all today. So this is what we're going to do. I like having hey, yeah, your name, the Jason Hodge, just slipped completely out of my head. Good to see you, Jason. All right, I want to talk about using an overlay on your video. All right, so using an overlay on your video and what you can do with Youzign that becomes powerful. Okay, the first one I want to do is this one right here. We're just going to take. I'm going to take this video. I'm sorry, I'm going to take this vector image and I'm going to make it so that it covers this section of my screen, and I'm going to change the color of this. All right, I'll make it that color right there. All right, is everybody with me so far? we're going to take this, and we're going to put these together. And now what we're going to do is we're going to use this. I'm going to change this background to transparent. And I'm going to download this image. I have to download it as a PNG file because I want it with a transparent background. And I'm just going to call this number 1. Okay. Then I'm going to open up Camtasia, and I'm going to use that overlay in this section right here. Okay. Everybody with me? Y'all understand what I'm talking about here. I'm going to use this overlay in this section over here. So in order to do that, what I do next is I take that image, and now I grab this image, I pull it over here, and I can place the image, and take this image, and I can place it in here so that it appears right here, okay? So when I play the video, I can actually put words over in this corner, and the video can play, and then it can disappear. This is okay. I mean, it looks fine, but, and I can put words on top of this. No big deal. But watch this. This was what I saw in that video that captured my attention. And I thought it was an incredibly powerful thing to do. So watch what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to take this, and now I'm going to reduce the opacity of that overlay. All right. And then I'm going to add a text to it, because I watched this guy do this and I thought, man, I love that video, the way that he created that video. So let's do this text right here. This is a text that I had saved from before. So I'm going to take this text right here, make it a little bit smaller so it fits. And I'm not going to add anything to this text because that's what we're just trying to get this going on, okay? So this is kind of a cool thing to do. Now watch what happens when I download this as a PNG file. Call this number 2 because I'm so incredibly creative on my names today. And now, instead of having this as being the asset, move this over. I'm going to move this out of the way here. And instead of having this as being the asset, what I want to do is I'm going to add a different one. I'm going to take this one here. I'm going to bring it over. I want you to see the difference between these, okay? So now I'm going to take this, and I'm going to put it right here. And you tell me if you see a difference. Yes, it'll work with other video editors. That's not a big deal. The big deal is being able to change the transparency or the opacity of this image that I'm using for the overlay here. Does that make sense to everybody? I think this is something that I don't want you to miss the power of doing this. Look at the difference here. See, this works and it's effective. This is much, much more effective. Would y'all agree with that? Even though the outline around this makes that text look a slightly more fuzzy, or maybe that's just my eyes this morning. But do you understand what the difference that is? And I honestly think this is where the power of Youzign becomes really beneficial to you. I can change the opacity of this overlaid image, and then I can use it in my videos. Does that make sense to everybody? Is that helpful? Do you see how important that is? Now, we can do the same thing. I could have eliminated this and just added, let me get rid of the shadow on this because I don't think that's helpful in this particular case. And I'm just going to download this as a PNG file now, and we're going to add it to the video. Okay, so change this a little bit here, and I'm now going to add that additional asset, which is this one right here. This out of the way, grab this, pull it in here, and now, which one's more effective? I think having the slightly opaque background makes the text stand out a little bit more. It doesn't get lost in the busyness that's going on here. Now, personal opinion, and again, this is always just totally a personal opinion, but I think this helps a lot to be able to do this. Now, we can have a lot of fun with this, incorporating the other things that we've been looking at over the last several months. Let's go back, and I'll add that text image back in. Melody, I agree. That's kind of what I was after. I wanted and the reason why I picked this color right here is because I felt like it did a pretty good job of being able to capture the color from the background of the video and make it work without creating a problem. Now, do you see what happened over here? And you all know what that was, right? I have to move this to the background. And so by sending it to the background, I bring the text out to the top. I think this is a more effective way to do this overlay, particularly when we look at when we compare them over here. This one is just, it's something stuck into the image. This one is subtle, and I like the subtleness of that. This one kind of gets lost, and I don't want it to get lost. I want to keep it there, and so I think this accomplishes the purpose. And I just got a notification that my data on my phone is going to expire. So, this is one of those days I just didn't really expect all this to be going on. But I think this is a more effective use than this, right? And much less intrusive than this. And so I really want to encourage you to play with your video and see ways that you can incorporate Youzign into making this work very effectively. Okay. Now, does anybody know where I got this video at? If you know where I got the video at, let me know. And there's some things we could do with this just this piece by itself. Okay. Yeah, we could add some animation. Depends on what your capabilities of your video editor are and that kind of a thing. Nobody knows where I got the video at. I got the video from the video assets that we were looking at last week. So, or last week or the week before, whatever week that was. I could also do this. I could also take this and I could blur the edge of this, right? Now watch what happens when I do this. I'll make that number 4. Yes, Sharon, we do these on Fridays. We've been doing them on Fridays I've been doing it on Friday for 3.5 years, and they were doing it before that on Fridays. So yeah, Friday's pretty much the fixed date for this, okay? So this is, now I'm gonna take the same image and let me get rid of this right here. And I'm gonna add that same asset here. And then I think we're probably gonna be done. Because that's my second notice. All right, now look at the difference here, okay? How's that look? Again, these are all the skills that we've been looking at over the last several months, right? We've taken each one of these pieces, we spent some time talking about them, and so I like this one better than I do this one. But here's the way you do that. You just simply add them on here. You play with it. You grow it. That's how you become a master, right? Is that you play with the tools that you have and you push the envelope on what can those tools do. I like this last one much better, but watch what we did. We went from here, right? We went from here to here to here. And just followed a natural progression there until we got exactly what we want. Now we can do away with the rest of the stuff, okay? And that's the big part of, exactly as Bob's saying, that being able to play and discover and it is really the essence of creativity. It allows us to have a lot of fun. Now, the cool thing about this color right here is it's exactly the same color over here. Almost. It might be a shade or two different, but it's almost exactly the same color. So it doesn't look like it was thrown on top of the picture. It looks like it's a part of the overall plan. Does that make sense to everybody? I could have easily made this come in at one time and then made the text come in at another time. We could have done those kind of things. We can build some animation into this, as Melody said earlier, and really make it look amazing. Just a little bit of effort, a little bit of focus here, and it's really cool what you can do. Does y'all agree with that? All right. Anybody have a pressing issue today that you would like for me to address? If not, I'm going to take the fact that I have lost about 25% of my battery on my laptop and more than that on my phone, and the fact that I'm getting notifications about my data package, that I probably should use that as my signal to get off. I apologize to everybody for a shorter webinar today. I had to do this of necessity, and so anything at all that I can help you with, because I definitely want to have weekly contact with you, let you know what's going on, and make sure that things are working well for you. But I just thought this would be a great tip. This is a great enhancement for your video. You know, Ray did a shirt video the other day, and if you can take little things like this and enhance that video, then there's some pretty cool stuff that you can do. I was actually going to take this a little bit further, and I was going to use this video over here, which was a video that was done by Stuart Tan, and a testimony about me, and I was going to layer words down the side of this and do that with you. But I want you, but you see what can be done and how to actually add those enhancements and those assets to your videos, and it makes the video really, really amazing. I thought that this was a really, really good direction to go with this, so that you could see how you can, by simply adding and all we did was we took a geometric shape over here from the vector images. We made it a color that enhanced, that really was complementary to the video image itself. And then we blurred the edge of it and put another complementary color over here and made it work out really, really well. All right. With that, if there's nothing else, any questions, any comments, complaints, you got to send them to Rose, but no, I'm just kidding. I'm really just kidding. I'm getting my sense of humor back now that I can see out of both eyes at the same time. All right. You all have gotten very, very quiet today. I'm going to wrap this up because of necessity. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to tell you that we'll be back here next Friday, and do the same thing all over again. And we'll have a good time. I promise we'll have a good time. Okay. And Rose is just sharing some things here about the lower third overlays and other things that can be done using Youzign to enhance video. Think about these two tools together. We have a fixed image in Youzign, and we have a video. Think about how you can use those together, because it's really, really good to do that. All right. With that, I'm going to get out of here. You all have a great weekend. I look forward to seeing you next Friday for a full hour, I promise.